Vipassanā-ñāṇa Arises. Insight knowledge, Vipassanā-ñāṇa, is a knowledge, jnana, that is courageous. It arises specifically to eliminate mental intoxications, asava, defilements, kilesa, and desires, tanha. This insight arises and doesn't exist for long. Once it directly eliminates all defilements, desires, and mental intoxications from the mind, it subsides and vanishes. It is like a fire burning paper or burning cotton. Once the paper or cotton has burned until no flammable material remains, the fire stops burning. Vipassanā-ñāṇa incinerates the mental intoxications, defilements, and desires within the mind until nothing remains, in a similar manner. When insight, vipassana, has emerged in a practitioner, Vipassanā-ñāṇa will not deteriorate midway whatsoever, unlike meditation, samadhi, or meditative absorptions, jhana. Because meditation and meditative absorptions are in the level of worldly conditioned phenomena, sankhara, they are subject to impermanence, anicca. If it can arise, then it definitely can decay, and can be made to arise. Once Vipassanā-ñāṇa arises, there is no intermediate decaying until it has eliminated all mental intoxications, defilements, and desires. Vipassanā-ñāṇa is the ultimate level of refined wisdom, paññā. Practitioners desperately want wisdom of this level to arise, although the desire for this wisdom to arise is a desire that is good. The methods, ubaya, that are used to practice mental cultivation, bhavana patipati, are of a completely different path. They don't mix. For the most part, it is taught that once one meditates to a point of serenity, wisdom will arise. Once that wisdom arises, one will shed all defilements and desires and eliminate all mental intoxications from the mind. This is primarily what is taught. Practitioners who lack education will believe their teacher and will have to practice what their teacher taught. They will think that wisdom must definitely come from meditation. This is a wrong understanding of Vipassanā-ñāṇa and the methods of practice that lead to it. Read on and you will know. As for the technique of meditating until the mind is calm, let me reject that notion here and now because it does not engender wisdom in any way whatsoever. Back in our Buddha's time, when he was newly ordained, he had trained in serene meditation and attained meditative absorptions of a high level. He had meditated to a state of serenity, continuously, and for a long time. Our Buddha was one who had cultivated perfections of character, bharami, with wisdom being predominant, paññātika. His cultivation of the wisdom bharami was replete and whole. In other words, he was one who had perfected the bharami of wisdom. While the Buddha had trained with the two hermits, tapasa, he had attained full serenity in meditation. Why, then, didn't wisdom arise within the Buddha? Go and read the manuals. What kind of meditation is our serene meditation? Is it a serene meditation superior to the Buddha's meditative serenity? If we respect the Buddha, then we should teach each other the Buddhist way of practice, and we should practice like one who is Buddhist. We should not take the principles of the hermits, tapasa, and ascetics, isi, and mix them with Buddhism too much. People practice like hermits and ascetics, but proclaim themselves to be practicing like Buddhists. What is this? Instructors should study the principles of deliverance through wisdom, paññā vimutti, and principles of deliverance of mind, ceto vimutti, so that they understand and can distinguish between various topics. They should also read up on the history of the noble disciples, Arya Savaka, of the Buddha's era, so that they can understand how the paññā vimutti types started their practice and how the ceto vimutti types started their practice. They must be separated. They shouldn't all be taught the same method because those of the paññā vimutti personality and those of the ceto vimutti personality are not the same. It is like how the illnesses of sick people are not the same. The doctor must determine what medicine is appropriate for each patient's illness or for each type of illness. The same applies to the practice methods, upaya, of those with paññā vimutti or ceto vimutti personality types. My apologies for straying from Vipassanā-ñāṇa. This explanation is for you, the reader, to know the origin of Vipassanā-ñāṇa and to understand the reason it arises. This way, you will not be confused about the paths and methods that lead to the emergence of Vipassanā-ñāṇa. Consequently, you will understand the term Vipassanā-ñāṇa correctly. And if there is some point that you do not understand, I am ready to provide clarity and be an advisor to you. but you must speak with reason, as the truth cannot stray from the principles of the truth. I will explain how it all started, from the very first step, the method of practice. Observe that when commoners, Putuchana, went to see the Buddha, what model or method did the Buddha provide them to change wrong views, micca titi, to right views, samma titi? See, each person who went to see the Buddha had their own individual way of thinking, but those views flowed with the world's currents, and therefore against the path and fruit of enlightenment, makkapala nibbāna. So the Buddha gave them methods to change their worldly thinking to Dhamma thinking. They used impermanence, anicca, suffering, dukkha, and not self, anatta, in their thinking methods so that they would know and see according to principles of reality. Once they thought in accordance with these principles on a frequent basis, perception that was correct, righteous, and in accordance with reality would arise. In other words, samma titi, wisdom of right view. After this wisdom of right view was used to contemplate the truth on a frequent basis, it became samma sankappa. This is where wisdom starts to form. When using wisdom to contemplate on various things, let it correspond to the three common characteristics, thailakkhana. The fluency of wisdom and the knowledge and understanding in wisdom will become clearer. This is called insight, vipassana. Vipassana really just means wisdom. It is vipassana wisdom. Once the level of insight wisdom, vipassana-pañña, is reached, the knowledge and realization of universal truths, sacca Dhamma, is in line with the three common characteristics. There is clarity, and doubts and hesitations are eradicated. There is comprehensive clarity in whatever it is that is contemplated. Clinging and attachments disband because the truth of all conditioned phenomena, sappa sankhara, is known and seen. Once vipassana wisdom becomes complete and replete, the ultimate level of refined wisdom arises. Insight knowledge, Vipassanā-ñāṇa. You all should analyze and arrange what wisdom arising means in a correct way, like I have explained and broken down here. There is no wisdom arising from serene meditation whatsoever. Meditation is solely a method of supplementing wisdom so that it is sharper. That's all. Another term for insight knowledge, Vipassanā-ñāṇa, is wisdom based on mental development, pavana-maya-pañña. This level of wisdom will cause pativeta, or the path and fruit of enlightenment, makkapala nibbāna, to result. Once Vipassanā-ñāṇa wisdom occurs, it will go and wipe out all refined level defilements and desires from the mind. No mental intoxications will remain in the five aggregates whatsoever. The cause of suffering, samudaya, desire for sensual pleasures, kama tanha, desire for existence, bhava tanha, and desire for non-existence, vibhava tanha, that had previously been solidly buried in the mind and had led the mind to create existences and rebirths, jati, in the endless cycling through rebirth, vatacaka samsara, will all be completely annihilated by Vipassanā-ñāṇa. Where would existences and rebirths come from anymore? If existences and rebirths don't have happiness and suffering, they are worthless. Once the mind no longer contains fuel for defilements and desires, the door to enlightenment, nibbāna, instantly opens to welcome you. The term stream of enlightenment only exists for the noble individuals, Arya Bukkala, to access. At the very least, they must be noble individuals, Arya Bukkala, of the stream entry, Sotapanna, level. The route that directly leads to the stream of enlightenment exists solely in Buddhism. All Buddhists want to attain enlightenment, but how many people will enter the stream of enlightenment in this lifetime? As for those of us who are following in the Buddha's footsteps, we must practice in accordance with the Buddha's path in a correct manner. The Buddha has delineated the path very clearly. That is, the noble eightfold path, Ariyamaka, that we all know. The Buddha has already arranged the way of practice. It should not be corrected or changed from the original. If we follow the original principles that the Buddha laid forth, it is samma titi, or wisdom of right view, and samma sankappa, or purposeful thought and contemplation in accordance with reality in a manner that is righteous. These two are wisdom, pañña, based. The basis must first be established. Samma vaca, or right speech, samma kammanta, or right action, and samma achiva, or right livelihood. These are morality, sila-based. Samma vayama, samma sati, and samma samadhi are concentration, samadhi-based. If one practices according to the original path that the Buddha laid forth, it will be wisdom, paññā, morality, sila, concentration, samadhi. If you don't believe this, then just go look up the Noble Eightfold Path. This is the original path that the Buddha very clearly laid out. Allow me to return to the skunk vine once more. It was a metaphor, ubaya, that I used in contemplating with wisdom. The wisdom that arose at that time was unlike any wisdom that I had previously contemplated. It was a level of wisdom that had only arisen that time, and I knew very clearly that wisdom had arisen. It was courageous and decisive wisdom, and it was refined, sharp, and incredibly deep. However refined the wisdom was, so was the knowledge, jnana, refined in its knowing simultaneously. It was wisdom based on mental development, bhavana-maya paññā, or insight knowledge, Vipassanā-ñāṇa. It was wisdom knowledge, paññā-ñāṇa, that directly eliminated all defilements, kilesa, and desires, tanha, from the mind. It was an uprooting wisdom, as in samulang tanhang apuiha, wisdom that pulls up defilements and desires along with its roots. It is wisdom that goes in and destroys the cycle of rebirth so that it stops spinning and is utterly demolished. It is wisdom that wipes out all conditioned phenomena, sankhara, and conventions, samuti, so that they're completely extinct. It is wisdom that uncovers the secrets of the three realms with nothing remaining hidden. It is wisdom that completely cuts off the current of the three realms and liberates a person from it. It is wisdom that wipes out both small and large defilements and desires that reside in form-based phenomena, rupa dhamma, and mind-based phenomena, nama dhamma, so that nothing remains. Although there is the form aggregate, rupa kanda, the four elements, jatu tatu, of earth, water, wind, and fire, they are pure elements. And although there are eyes, ears, a nose, tongue, and body, there are no defilements or desires concealed within. They are pure sense bases, ayatana. Nama khandas, vedana, sanya, sankhara, and vijnana, are pure nama khandas. There are no desires or defilements to lead to rebirth anymore. That's why it is called extinction, nirodha.